my talk is based around 6 tips that I have found really helpful in my career and in presenting in general. And presenting is something that I really enjoy doing because it gives me energy. And, I also just like speaking to people on the line, such as yourself, and maybe share my experiences and in return, hopefully learn something from you guys as well. I've been watching you guys set the SMART goals. And I wish when I was your age, I had the discipline to actually set these goals and follow them through. So I'm very impressed by what I'm seeing from you guys, and I hope to stay on the line and learn a little bit more about everybody and about everybody's lives. So a little bit about myself. My name is Hjalti or Hjalti, anything that pronounces those 6 letters in some sort of logical way. And I'm from Iceland originally. I've been in London for 4.5 years, almost 5 years now. And I work for Kantar, which is one of the supporting companies for migrant leaders. We had a workshop with Elham and the team at our offices back in December, and we're hoping to be able to welcome some more of you into our offices once that becomes allowed again from this pandemic. I've been in the marketing industry now for about 10 years, and I've done loads of different things. I've worked in a bank, I worked in a telecommunications company. Now I'm doing consulting for Kantar, which is really interesting because you really get to work with a lot of different companies. So one of the companies that we work with, for example, is Google, and we work a lot for Mondelez, who makes the Oreo cookies, and Unilever, who makes Ben & Jerry's. So we're working with these brilliant brands that are really shaping people's, shaping culture and taking part in culture. So it's a great space to be in if you like logic and magic. And me and Elham were talking about this earlier. So you have the creativity and the opportunity to influence these big brands and how they show up in our lives, but also you can use your logic and your math skills and your ability to read data to actually understand what is beneath that and why you should be able to make the recommendations that you're making. So that's a little bit about me. Now, being a consultant, a huge part of that is actually being able to stand up and present, and that can be coming in various different ways. So you can be standing up on stage, presenting in front of loads of people, but you can also be in a situation like this where I'm standing in my sitting room and I'm presenting you guys over Zoom. I've also had to present over a phone call without having any video or anything to share. So just telling my story like that. And then finally, I've also had to do pitches and presentations where I'm sitting across a desk from another person. It's just me and them, and I'm showing them slides off my computer. So there's various different scenarios when you're going to need presentation skills and being able to speak publicly, whether it is in a small setting or a large room. And I've pulled together these 6 tips that I think are going to help you, and I hope that they will. And I hope you have some questions for me at the end, and hopefully you have some tips of yourself that you can maybe give me that can help me become an even better presenter. Because I'm always learning from other people, and I'm always excited to see what other people do, what helps other people, so that I can keep growing and making myself a better presenter. I will now share my screen. I'm going to share this PowerPoint slides. Here we go. 6 tips on becoming a top presenter in any settings. I hope that you can see this properly. Okay, like I said before, I think these are tips that work in any setting that you're in. It can be in a job interview. It can be in an auditorium in front of loads and loads of people. It can be in a one-on-one setting. It can be with a teacher. It can be in front of your peers. It can be in front of your parents. So take these tips as you can. They are both aimed, and everything that I'm going to say to you is something that's hopefully going to help you presenting in person, as well as helping you do this over Skype and in a virtual world. Because who knows when we're going to be able to be in an auditorium in front of loads and loads of people again. So I'm going to give you tips through all of them, even though some of the words may relate to you being in person. I'm also going to give you some tips of how you can use those virtually. So I'm just going to go on to the first one, which is act like you're on stage. So whenever you're presenting anything, I want you to be in the mindset that you're standing on stage, whether it be on a phone call, in a classroom, or in an interview. So it doesn't matter where you are, you're there to play a role, and your role is to deliver the best presentation of yourself or whatever the content is that you're presenting as possible. So you can imagine that you're a Daniel Day-Lewis or Brad Pitt or anybody. They're always on stage and they're always performing a role, and they're always trying to deliver the best performance that they can. So don't be distracted by the venue, and just imagine that you're on a stage and you're playing a role. So right now I'm playing the role of a presenter on presenting, and I'm trying to do that as best as I can. And that is my role. And my aim is to deliver that as best as humanly possible. All right, on to the second one. And this has to do with volume. Your voice is a very powerful instrument. And just by playing with the volume, how you're presenting, you can actually control the attention of an entire room. So for example, if you speak up and you speak louder, that's automatically going to wake people up. And it's going to focus their attention on, oh, did I miss something? He was obviously trying to make a point. What was this? So you'll perk up people's ears. You'll catch their attention by speaking up. But then if you're trying to make a point, you can actually bring your voice down, because if I'm speaking lower, it forces you to focus more in on what I'm saying. So you can control the attention of a whole room and a whole auditorium or a 3-people call just by going up and down with your voice. You can also use your voice to place emphasis on your key points. So imagine how I'm saying this sentence. I can say you can place emphasis on your key points, and the emphasis there, as I'm trying to talk about the word place. But if I say you can place emphasis on your key points, then that changes the whole structure of the sentence and what it is that I'm trying to say with that sentence. So make sure that you're not speaking in monotone. You're placing emphasis at the right moments. Now, a key thing that I had struggled with in the past is that when I'm presenting, I tend to get into a rhythm and then I roll through everything like a steam train, because I get into a rhythm and I get so excited about what it is that I'm presenting, and I'm trying to have the maximum impact. And, it's just so much energy for me. And I was always told, make sure that you're taking a breath, make sure that you're pausing, because people are maybe a couple of seconds behind you trying to comprehend what it is that you're trying to say. So make sure that you're taking a pause, and especially if you feel like you're on that steam train and you're trying to speak too fast, just take a little breath and reset and continue. It only takes a second. It's not going to impact your presentation. It's just resetting a little bit and making sure that your voice is calm. And this is true regardless if you're in person or if you're virtual. And it's actually more true when you're virtual, because you don't have the feedback of the people that you are speaking to often. So if you don't have their video, you don't know what their reaction to your words are. Now, this is one of my favorite ones, because this has to do with your posture, how you show up. I always, when I'm speaking, I like to stand. So that's why I put my computer up on a chair that's up on my kitchen table right now. Otherwise, I would be sitting down. But this has to do with your posture and the way that you stand. So imagine, you think about a tree in the wind. A tree in the wind is going to sway from side to side, but its roots are always linked to the ground. So if you're imagining that you're a tree, it's just about placing your feet wide. You place them wide, shoulder width apart. Stand in your feet. Do not move your feet. But as you're presenting, you can sway from side to side as you're making your point. It's also more kind of makes your presentation more lively. Now, if you are sitting, You can also use this principle. What I would urge you to do when you're making a presentation as you sit in front of a computer screen is pick the most uncomfortable chair that you have in your house or is around you, because that makes that you have to perk up, your back becomes straight, and you're just giving up that much more energy. It's maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but you're only going to be presenting for maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And plus you'll forget about the uncomfort when you get into the rhythm of presenting your content. Because if you're sitting on a couch or you're sitting in a very comfortable chair, what you're automatically going to do is you're going to kind of slouch down and become comfortable. And when you are comfortable, you start speaking slower, and there's less enthusiasm, and people can sense that energy that you're giving up. So it may make them feel like you're not excited for what you're presenting. So if you're presenting sitting down, pick the most uncomfortable chair that you can possibly find in your house. If you cannot stand, I would personally just recommend standing if you can. Okay. Now, this is actually a key point, and it's actually a very kind of sore point for a lot of people, because you're presenting something. Let's say that you've been doing loads and loads of research for a school project, and now you're presenting your findings, and somebody asks you a question that you don't know. Now, you're actually going to show that you're smarter by admitting that you don't know something, instead of trying to make up the answer really quick, or giving off a bad answer that turns out to be wrong. So never pretend to know everything, because this word I don't know can make you sound more credible, because it places an emphasis that the stuff that you do know, you know that, and you know what you know, and you definitely know what you don't know, which is very, very powerful. If you get a question that you don't know, what you can always do, there's tricks that you can do. You can try to switch the conversation to the stuff that you know. So if you get the question, you can answer, I don't have the answer to that. I can look into it and get back to you. Or you can, and then you can say, but what I do know, enforcing the stuff that you do know, and really, really driving that point home that you're an expert on those things. So never pretend to know everything, but know the stuff that you know. Know the stuff that you know, and know the stuff that you don't know. Now, this is a key point here, holding people's gaze and looking people in the eye and making sure that you have that connection with your audience. When you're in a small room with 10 people, this can be quite easy because you're standing in front of them and you can just look and switch from person to person. How do you do this in a virtual world? Now, what I've come to find with this is that I prefer having the video on, even if it's just my video, because it gives you a focal point. So right now, this is going to sound really weird, but I'm looking myself in the eye because it's a person that I'm looking at and I'm getting a facial reaction from myself. It just gives off the energy to your audience that you're actually paying attention, that you're in the conversation, that you live it. Whereas if you have your video off and everybody else has their video off, it's much easier for you to just kind of read your notes. You may lose your focus a little bit, and all of a sudden you're checking Instagram a little bit. But if the camera is on, you have nowhere to hide. You are present, and I would probably request from the people that I was presenting to for them to have their camera on as well. In many cases, especially if it's a small cohort, if you're doing a presentation to 2 or 4 people, you would want the camera on because you want their reaction. You want to be able to see it because it's easier for you. And then there's the whole thing about not reading the slide. Your slides, if you're presenting a PowerPoint deck or a PDF, your slides are there to help your audience. They're there to help you navigate where you are in the story that you're telling. The slides are not there to be read. So I haven't read a single word on this slide. What you want is you can have your notes to the side, but you want to be people to be listening to you. You don't want them to be reading your slides, because otherwise they wouldn't need your presentation. So make sure that you're trying to hold people's attention on you. And these are some tricks that you can actually do. Now, the sixth and last point is one of my favorite points. And this is another one that has to do with posture. And you can see a picture there of Wonder Woman. And the tip or the advice that I'm trying to give you is stand like Wonder Woman. Assume the Wonder Woman pose. So if you've seen the movie Wonder Woman, she's got this radiant stance where she stands all confident, chest up, shoulders back, really straighten her back. And this is actually a very good trick, because right now I'm in this stance. And this stance helps me give off confidence. It makes me seem confident. And your audience wants to see you being confident, because then they believe you more when you're speaking. And the trick is, this is actually a subconscious thing, where if you are assuming a confident pose, you are not only radiating that energy towards your audience, you actually start feeling more confident. And it's something that is going to help you feeling more confident and deliver what it is that you're trying to present. So it's a win-win situation. So as it says there, keep your head high, chest up, and just crush it. Now, I said there would be 6 tips, and there have been 6 tips, but I am going to slide in the 7th, just a little bit of a bonus tip, because this is probably the most important one when it comes to presenting and public speaking, and it's a very an underrated one, and one that's often overlooked. And it actually has nothing to do with public speaking. It has nothing to do with presenting, but it has everything to do with the way that you show up. So what I want you to do is I want you to remember the 5 Ps. What are the 5 Ps, you ask? Well, proper preparation prevents poor performance. So you may be nervous about speaking in public. You may be nervous about presenting, but if you know your stuff, if you've done the preparation, if you know what it is that you're going to say, you're much, much, much likely to succeed. And because you can master all these tricks that I'm trying to tell you, you can stand like Wonder Woman and, be like a tree and sit on the most uncomfortable chair. But if you don't know the stuff that you're presenting and you haven't prepared, then it's all going to be for waste. So this is something that I live. I take this so seriously. So, for example, for this talk, I have delivered this talk many times before. I wrote every single word on the slides. I even picked the images. What I was doing prior to coming on camera is I was writing down notes of the things that I was going to say. It only, even if I've delivered this 10 times before, it only took me 10 minutes just to sit down and write down what it is that I'm going to say. I've looked at my notes once because I've written them down. I know what it is that I'm wanting to say. So please, guys, proper preparation prevents poor performance, the 5 Ps. And preparation is not only about reading your slides. It can also be, if you have a sore throat, you have a little bit of water on the side so you don't have to stand up and go and get that glass of water when you're in the middle of your presentation. So that's it for me. I hope this was useful. I want you guys to take a little moment now, maybe think about if there's a specific tip or a specific rule that is most relevant for you, or the one that you like the most. I would love to see something about that in the chat box. So please let's keep this going, and I hope this was helpful and leaves you energetic for your next presentation or whatever it is that you have to do. Now, I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to hand over to Fauja again. make host. I'll be sticking around and I'll be a part of the Q&A. So if you have any questions for me, please fire them over. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and look forward to seeing what's left over of the conference. Thank you.